You have to tell us what you've been seeing in that courtroom, specifically David, right? Because I understand you got really, really close to him.
On July 27th, the case involving David took a shocking turn when his defense team revealed a strategy aimed at eventually getting David released from jail by working the legal system and relying on his living conditions. The evidence file stated, defense attorney Marilyn appeared to raise the possibility that she may have caused the situation herself, questioning Dr. Grant about whether the medical evidence alone could completely rule out that possibility. I have to be careful with my wording, but this indicates David's defense team introduced a defense to the allegations, claiming that she was actually responsible for doing it to herself.
We learned the, quote, defense strategy, I guess, besides just poking holes in the LAPD investigation, etc. Marilyn Bednarski asked Dr. if he knew anything about Celeste's history, if he talked to her family about her history. He meant, did you know if there was any history of self?
But this is where things become more intriguing because it's important to understand that David has significant wealth. So if he chooses to argue that he didn't commit the crime, but she was responsible, causing David to fear the circumstances and react the way he did, this could create opportunities for him to manipulate the legal system. Commentators wrote, DJ says he doesn't believe David would select a life sentence instead of the penalty. He believes David thinks that because he has money, it's smarter to accept the penalty and use the system to his advantage that way further.
The silver lining is that in a preliminary hearing, even though your defense attorney is there, they're seeing a lot of this for the first time. They're kind of winging it. Clearly, this is going to trial. People are saying he's going to accept just a life imprisonment. The young kid, a lot of money. He had a lot of prospect in front of him. I don't think he accepts defeat just to make sure he doesn't get a penalty. You know why? I think he looks at it like, you know what? Even if I blow trial, I got enough money. I get an appeal. Even if I get sentenced, I could work to throw appeal status to kind of get removed off of that.
This led to a viral reaction stating, "This is exactly why the system needs to be changed. Because David has money, he could intentionally take the penalty. By doing this, he can receive unlimited appeals, then use his wealth to get endless court hearings about his quality of life, and make claims that he's being targeted by inmates trying to harm him, which would allow his lawyers to argue that he may not survive until the appeal trials unless he receives house arrest." This story is as old as time. According to online investigators, if you accept the passing penalty, you're granted countless appeals against the charges against you in an attempt to save your own life. During this process, David could also claim that inmates are trying to get him, increasing his chances of receiving a house arrest agreement until his appeal trials begin. Even DJ academics would expose how much money David is making.
We're going to find out that David had a contract with his record label that was for $6 million per album. Every time he dropped an album, I know you guys never heard of his music, but his music was pretty popular. He was going to get $6 million per album. Just to put it in perspective, that's huge. That would be probably more than 95 to 96% of all musicians currently that's on a major. I say that to say his music clearly was either highly profitable or definitely his label, which was Interscope Records. They were definitely exploiting his likeness and his music to a very high level. By the way, his monthly listeners was out the roof.
However, what came next would make David's plan even simpler to follow. A new name would emerge during the preliminary hearing. This name was Sheldon. He is a live-in security guard who may have either witnessed the crime happening or even played a role in it, as prosecutors are now attempting to make him turn against David and reveal what he knows too.
This was interesting. There is a new name to watch for, a bodyguard named Sheldon. Sheldon Jaculus, I think I heard, but it was tough. Even Gregor, the witness, couldn't quite tell us his last name. So he was identified, Sheldon, as Burke's live-in security guard, and Gregor testified that he lived at David's home for about 6 months, but Gregor said that he never discussed what happened inside the home.
There is something extremely suspicious about Sheldon. According to court records, it states, David employed a live-in bodyguard named Sheldon. The bodyguard allegedly transported the singer and her to clubs using fake IDs. This suggests that Sheldon knew a lot about her and that the entire situation was completely wrong. This is a huge piece of new evidence because it connects to the file stating defendant used an item against her multiple times and then watched as she passed. Being careful with my words. This means the feds have a witness who could testify that David not only committed the crime, but remained there and chose not to attempt saving her, with many people believing it is allegedly the live-in bodyguard involved too.
Defendants multiple times and stood by while she out. How do they know that?
Look, I got to tell you, as an old investigator, you know where I get that kind of information from? It's not from the perpetrator. To say someone stands there and watches an individual out, that comes from a witness.
Online investigators believe that Sheldon could know far more than anyone else involved. As a live-in guard, he likely overheard arguments between David and her. Just like the report stated, new evidence was discovered involving Celeste, showing that she allegedly told David she was going to report him to police days before she passed. Or even DJ Academics said.
They're saying that the Celeste girl, maybe she was already talking to the cops, like, yeah, this creep is, he on me. Now, granted, who knows if David was trying to leave her or whatever the case is, but look like she would also try to threaten David with that, to say, yo, I'm about to go tell on your, right? Which already he should have knew that he's doing something wrong. Well, I mean, he should have knew of GP, like, she's gang. But she would, allegedly, according to this complaint, she had threatened that, yo, I could ruin your music career or something like that.
Being a live-in bodyguard, Sheldon likely overheard numerous arguments between the two. Knowing there were conflicts through text messages, it is reasonable to believe there were also disagreements in person. So investigators searched through David's iPhone, and they reportedly discovered more messages between them showing arguments because she wanted a deeper relationship and to be treated better, or she would go to police, meaning this was likely David's motive behind the crime. This led to a reaction from Kodak Black, who acted out what David could potentially say when he receives his sentence.
I know it's real, bro. I know it did, bro. I know it. I know it, bro. I know it.
But to understand whether David truly committed the crime, it is important to hear the plan he allegedly created to cover it up. During today's court session, prosecutors would reveal never-before-seen evidence stating, new evidence revealed today. Singer David reportedly drove into a remote area around midnight. Investigators believe he was there attempting to dispose of her belongings after they discovered her ID. But here's the shocking part. David allegedly tried calling her phone multiple times while knowing nobody would answer. However, this was actually the beginning of his plan to build his alibi.
But basically, he detailed the trips to Santa Barbara and the fact that David's Tesla data and his cell phone data, they pinged certain towers. They were conclusive with one another and these trips. He did attempt to call Celeste. The call came through on April 24th around midnight. This was when she was reportedly already deceased.
While traveling out to Santa Barbara, investigators believe David carried much more than just an ID because the very next day, he needed to have his car professionally cleaned. He told the car detailer that a smoothie had spilled in the back seat. The evidence file stated, video showing David Burke sitting outside a building while filming himself saying the car is at the detailer getting that smoothie removed. I got bitten by a mosquito. My announcement is now delayed. I have to get an Uber. Half of my shoes are dirty, but hey, I'm still alive.
Car is at the detailer getting that smoothie out. I got bit by a mosquito. My announcement is delayed. I gotta get an Uber. Half my shoes are dirty. But I'm alive.
This seems very strange because I believe most people who spill a smoothie inside their car could clean it by themselves. David getting bitten by a mosquito probably during the night, needing to delay his announcement, all of his shoes being dirty, possibly from dirt, while also adding a small, "Hey, I'm alive" at the end. However, This appeared to be a common reaction from many people online, with a viral comment saying, "Does anyone else feel like the 'I'm still alive' part at the end was completely unnecessary when telling people you're having your car cleaned?" Everything about this seems so strange. But what is even stranger is what David did during this entire 48 hours. Because inside the Tesla, David was captured driving, but investigators also discovered a receipt from the store Ross. The receipt still contained the store's address. So, police went there to collect the surveillance footage and discovered something. They saw David entering to buy new clothing, then quickly leaving before anyone could notice what happened.
They also found a receipt in the Tesla from Ross's, like clothes for less or something like that. And they had the address and they had the date. So they went over to Ross's and they pulled surveillance and they saw that it was David buying clothes on July 29th, 2025.
The detectives would write. Byers also testified about evidence that prosecutors claim shows David was the final person to drive the Tesla before it was towed. He stated that data from the vehicle shows David's iPhone 16, which was never recovered, disconnecting from the car at 2:18 p.m. on July 29th. Shortly afterward, neighborhood surveillance footage captured the black Tesla leaving David's rental home. Then, 2 minutes later, a neighbor's security camera recorded Burke walking back toward the home, providing 4K video evidence that David was the last person to drive the Tesla, leaving it parked in an unfamiliar location and later reporting it stolen while traveling for work.
Authorities say they were called to an impound lot in Hollywood after someone noticed a foul odor coming from a car. Once inside, they discovered a wrapped in plastic. The car, which was a Tesla that belonged to a singer and Queens native who goes by the name David, spelled with A4.
As this was only the beginning of David's attempt to create his alibi, because what nobody knew was that he had actually started planning weeks before the crime even occurred. Investigators found a flight receipt on David's phone that he had purchased for her. It was meant for a family vacation, but pay close attention to the name that he used.
We're now seeing the receipt from the flight that Celeste took to be with David in London. This part is really interesting. Look at the customer information. The shipping address, it goes under the name Victoria Mendez, the same name that prosecutors are alleging that David used to order all of those things online, like the chainsaws, the inflatable pool. That name is also connected to his address in LA,
where David would eventually use the fake name Victoria Mendez, buying the flight tickets and attempting to make it appear like a real person, because he also ordered the cleanup items under that same name. After the crime happened, the evidence file stated, David allegedly took Celeste's left ring and pinky finger because her ring finger had a tattoo of his name. They were never recovered. The singer allegedly used the fake name of Victoria Mendez to purchase 2 chainsaws, a bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable pool from Amazon, along with a shovel from Home Depot through Postmates. But while David was creating a fake person and trying to make them appear real so the crime could likely be blamed on them, there were actual people who could have stopped this much earlier. This was none other than David's own family. The family vacation that David purchased flight tickets for was very unusual. It reads, throughout 2024, she spent a significant amount of time with the defendant, including summer weekends at his home in the Hollywood Hills and traveling with him to Las Vegas, London, and Texas to meet his family during that same.
To meet his family. So, it is unclear how much David's parents or brother knew about his interactions with Celeste and if they were aware of how she was. But what we do know is that the family was ordered to come to LA and testify, seemingly in front of a grand jury as prosecutors worked to build a case against him. And in court filings regarding this whole back and forth about his family being subpoenaed to testify in LA, there was this section for each witness. Quote, detectives learned that Caleb Burke is the younger brother of target David Burke and has a close relationship with him. Detectives learned that Colleen Burke is the mother of target David Burke and has a close relationship with him. Per several witnesses, she is instrumental to his career success and manages his business finances.
Meaning David's family was aware of her, raising the major question of why they allowed the relationship to continue. When this spread across social media, people were shocked. Everyone knows the tragic ending of the story, but if David's family had stepped in earlier by warning him that the situation was wrong, and that if their relationship was ever exposed, he could face arrest, then this entire situation might have been prevented. And it's not like David and her were attempting to keep it hidden during these family vacations either. According to investigators, they had already started publicly showing their relationship during
Wait.
Oh, look it. Answer that one. That's so mean if you don't answer.
Which one? What's good to have a big family? Oh, thank you. Mitchell.
I gotta stop with him if you even.
Are
We need to delete this.
Maz, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too?
You know, transferring these assets in the middle of an investigation, as opposed to 2 years ago or a year ago.
Right.
Could a court look at this and say, this was a deliberate attempt to, what you say, concealing assets, and they could breach it, they could pierce it, they could say, even though that you've transferred this into your mother's name, that was invalid. This is a way for, let's say, a plaintiff who sues him, or let's say in a criminal judgment to pay that fine. Can a court look at that and say, even though you transferred it, it's still open season on those properties?
This is what's so puzzling about this. It is a very basic premise of law throughout the country that you can't transfer assets after the event happens that would otherwise trigger collecting on those assets. So we have rules in different states. Sometimes they're called fraudulent transfer. Sometimes they're called fraudulent conveyances. There's a lot of different names for them. But the crux of it is you cannot transfer assets.
The last thing David wants is to return there during the preliminary hearings because he has already been moved through 3 different cell blocks. Every time someone enters a new block, it is protocol for other inmates to ask for their paperwork to determine if they will accept them. With his official paperwork stating, David reportedly committed the crime using a sharp object. According to prosecutors, the charges against David include 1 M charge, an M charge for financial gain, an M charge to prevent testimony, an M charge by lying in wait, use of a sharp object, and charges related to what he allegedly did afterward, meaning he may not be accepted anywhere, making David's situation extremely unusual.
First of all, we suspected that David would be charged with after that was what he was arrested for, and in other court documents that came out a couple months ago, we know that he was being investigated for murder. But first-degree murder with special circumstances? Lying in wait to murdering a witness as part of an investigation? Murdering for financial gain? And now facing the possibility of the death penalty, even though it's my understanding there is a moratorium in California. That is a huge deal.